Gang, I'd like to welcome new sponsor, True Hemp Science, full spectrum CBD products to the show. Now, gang, I've been using these products for a couple of months now, namely their number 81 Relax and Sleep CBD oil. You can find them at truehempscience.com. Now, listen, gang, they create handcrafted quality, full spectrum CBD products by sourcing the highest grade hemp from around the world. All unique, all top quality. They offer a complete line of CBD products, including full-spectrum CBD oils, tinctures, CBD skincare lotions, CBD sports rubs, which I've been using, CBD gummies, which I tried, and they're absolutely fantastic, and the CBD gluten-free chocolates. By choosing True Hemp Science, you know it's going to be good, so you can stay focused. Now, gang, I was having some trouble sleeping, and I was having some pain in like the palm of my hands, both of my hands. It was weird, and it was getting weird when I was playing. And a couple of months ago, I was at a farmer's market, and I ran into this guy Simon, and his and he was out there with the True Hemp Science like booth. And I got together and started talking with him, and I got some balm for my hands to try and like ease the pain, and the pain actually went away. And I ended up getting the number 81 Relax and Sleep True Hemp Science CBD oil. It's a full spectrum CBD oil. It's absolutely fantastic. I've been sleeping like a baby. This last weekend, I went to Vegas to play a show, and we got in the night before. I was up really late, and I woke up really early, and I was having a hard time trying to get a nap in before this big show we were playing for this convention. And I had a couple of drops of this CBD oil, number 81, the Relax and Sleep thing, and it helped me sleep for 4 hours. And listen, gang, I've been waking up really, really rested, like feeling like I had slept, you know, like not waking up like, oh my God, what do I have to do? Or like waking up like, oh, I need to sleep more. It's like I wake up, I stretch, and I just feel like, wow, I really slept. Go to truehempscience.com and use the code HDIGH and get something special. Purchase $65 worth of regular price products and receive 296 milligrams of their number 81 distillate. Number 81 is great for rest, relaxation, and sleep. That's the one I'm talking about. That's the one that's been helping me sleep, helping me wake up rested, and feeling ready to take on the day. Focused and ready to go. That's True Hemp Science. Find them at truehempscience.com. Now listen, gang, for the next few weeks, I'll be telling you about some other products I've been using, even their CBG. Their number 41. Boy, that one really gives you focus and gets you ready to take on your day. But right now, I'm telling you, go to truehempscience.com/HDIGH. Use the code HDIGH, and with your $65 purchase, you'll receive 296 milligrams of the number 81, which is great for rest, relaxation, and sleep. Go to truehempscience.com. This stuff really works, you guys. Let's get down.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
It's time for How Did I Get Here? And now here are your hosts,
Hello, I'm Johnny. I'm your host. Welcome to the show. I hope you guys are all having a good week so far. It's Wednesday. Dropping this show on Wednesday because dropping 3 shows this week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So thank you so much for listening to the show. I know you don't have to. I know that you have tons and tons of options. I was reading an article on Monday about Spotify, just kind of like what Spotify is adding every day. Dude, do you know that there's 60,000 songs going to Spotify, being added to Spotify every single day? They've already got 2.2 million podcasts. So when I say thank you for listening to this show, I'm not fucking kidding around. I'm saying I know you've got a lot of other stuff you can be listening to, and the fact that you're listening to me and you're listening to this show, I know we've been around for a while, and I'm a show that's not going anywhere, or not going anywhere, but you know what I mean. Like we're going to be here for a while. I like doing this show, and I'm introducing you to new artists all the time. Hopefully you're getting that. You're getting to know some artists you're already a fan of, getting to know them a little bit better. Monday's show with Becca Stevens was really great, but I do want to. I got a couple of messages, private messages, about how much people liked that episode, And I want to say thank you for doing that. It means so much. As I said, I know you have so many options, so many different things to listen to. I'm going to ask you a favor, though. If you are moved to write me, I appreciate it. Write me, please. But also, if you don't mind sharing it as well, because that's the name of the game here. It's not just me telling you guys to listen to this show that it's great. It's you guys telling your friends, because your friends trust you. So if you listen to this show and you're super into it, maybe you're a fan of this guy, Wesley Dean, who's on the show today, share it. Like, hey, man, listen to this guy's incredible story. This is actually an incredible story. Anyway, please do share it. Use the hashtag How Did I Get Here? And please keep on sending me private messages, too. I really appreciate it. I really do, and I appreciate your engagement. I want to let you know that you can follow us on How Did I Get Here on Facebook. And on the rest of the social medias, I'm at Johnny Gowdy, JohnnyGoudie. On Twitter and Instagram, I'm at Johnny Gowdy. On Facebook, you can find our How Did I Get Here Facebook page, and you'll see photos of conversations of the guests that have been on the show. Also, you'll get to scroll through and see, this show's been around since August of 2011. So we've been putting out shows, 2 shows a week at least. This is what, 1160? Is it? Is this episode 1160? It might be. Anyway, I don't even know what episode it is. That's how many there are. So thank you for listening. Please share the things. Follow me on my social media. On Twitter and Instagram, I'm at Johnny Gowdy. On Facebook, you can follow me at How Did I Get Here? Okay? Thank you so much for listening to the show. You're awesome. Guys, I have an amazing show for you today. My guest, as I said, is a musician who is now based out of Nashville, but is originally from Australia. His name is Wesley Dean, and he's got a brand new record, gorgeous record, that he recorded when he moved to Nashville in 2021. It's called Unknown. And now Unknown captures Wesley Dean's decision to leave everything behind in his native Australia. He had achieved great fame and success to travel to Nashville to start an entirely new chapter of his musical career and his life. He brought his wife and his kids. And the songs on Unknown reflect that dream, the artistic transformation, with the triumphs and tribulations that accompany such a momentous life decision. All right? I just read that from his publicist thing, but I thought it was good enough to really explain. So Wesley Dean was known as Wes Carr in Australia. He won Australian Idol. He was having an incredibly successful career. He was having chart-topping hits, playing huge concerts, being this guy, but that wasn't who he wanted to be. And when you sign up on that Idol line, they want you to follow this sort of track of like pop stuff where people make stuff for you. But Wesley Dean is an artist, and he left Wes Carr behind in Australia and came to Nashville, to the United States, with his 2 kids and his wife to start all over again from scratch. Much like one of our Austin guys, Pat Byrne, who won Irish Idol a few years ago and moved to Austin to kind of do the same thing, like to get out of the track of being like this formulaic pop star or whatever, and becoming your own artist, no matter, even if it means less success. I think that takes balls, and I think that it's really, really commendable. So my conversation with Wesley Dean is fantastic. He's amazing. As I said, his record Unknown comes out this Friday on AHP Records. You can go to wesleydean.com to follow it. He's got a couple of singles out right now, Leave Adeline Alone and the song Gaslighter, which you will hear part of as soon as I stop talking, and then at the end of the show. Great songs. I suggest you get out there and check it out. Go to wesleydean.com. I'm pretty sure he's going to be on tour for a while. As soon as this record comes out, and he's going to get out there and start showing his wares. Hopefully we'll meet him when he comes to Austin. I really had a great time talking to him. He's a really, really interesting and engaging conversation. Really interesting guy. Really nice guy. So without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with this amazing artist. Originally from Australia, left it all behind, changed his name, moved to Nashville to start all over. This is my conversation with Wesley Dean. Let's get down.
Question is, what does that make you? Right now
Great.
How are you doing? You're in Nashville?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I am. Yeah, you're in Austin, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Do you ever get down here and play?
Oh, mate, I would love to. I would absolutely love to. I would like to do that very soon, actually. So we're just sort of putting all the pieces together about now, just sort of dates and tours and a bunch of stuff. So yeah, that's the next chapter, I guess.
Yeah. Have you toured America?
Did a bit of the Northeast last year, and then and did some down south of Kentucky, Florida, that kind of area, and then the Northeast. Oh man, I wish I could. I could rattle off a few names, but I'm still just acclimatizing myself to America. I mean, I've been here for 14 months now. So, and obviously traveled to America a few times in my life before moving here. But, I'm just starting to find my way around Nashville, to be honest. It takes about a year to move countries. Anywhere if you want to move a country, it's 1 year. And and then you start to sort of go, okay, I'm here.
Yeah, oh, that's a cool violin bass behind you. What is it? Is it a Hofner or is it something else?
It's a Hofner bass, my friend. Yeah, 1964.
Oh, wow.
Hofner.
Shit.
67. 67. Let me have a look. Sorry. Here we go. Yeah, there it is there.
God
67.
damn, man, that's nice.
Yeah, it's
I've never seen
man.
a natural one. I've only seen those sunbursts.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know. Neither have I. This is actually, to be honest, the only one I've ever seen that's natural like that,
Do you rock the flat wounds on that thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just got it serviced. Look, I got it serviced, 2 years ago now, actually. But it still plays really well. I love it. It's just a bit of fun for me. I just sit there in my studio and make up bass parts, because I'm a guitarist, But I play bass like a guitarist, and there's always like some sort of overwhelming bass part for a bass player, and they're like, can we just strip it back a bit, man? There's too many notes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I love it. It sounds so much like those old records, You just plug that thing in, and you get the Paul McCartney tone or whatever, It's just awesome.
It's a great tone.
What's that? Sorry.
It's a great tone, man. They have a great tone. They have a great mid-range that you can hear through a record. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times in modern recordings and modern bass, like bass since the late 90s and early 2000s has gone to this level where you can't discern the bass line sometimes. It's so
That's right. For me, I think that there was such personality in those old vintage recordings, where I think a lot of it's got to do with how, they didn't know at the time, obviously, but they were still quite limited in what they did. So they came up with all these experimental techniques in the studio that actually propelled their art form exponentially. And that's my opinion anyway. It's like they had to sort of be creative in order to get that new thing. Whereas now, you can just throw in a plug-in or whatever and I know how to do that and dial it in, which is, there's no problem in that too. But it's, I've been in the studio where I've actively gone, no, let's just experiment a little bit and see what we can come up with more so than just put a plug-in, or let's just, or double that track, or, kind of, not the lazy version, but just sort of it's what we're used to now, isn't it? So the more and more you want to kind of experiment and be creative in the studio, and if you have the luxury to do so as well, it's a blessing. And I have had that. So it's it's a lot of fun coming up with your own sounds, your own thing.
Wesley, I'm 53 and I've been doing this and like being in bands and stuff since I was like 13, 14 years old. And I started out on a 4-track, and then I had guitar pedals and shit. And then you didn't have any effects on a cassette 4-track.
Yeah.
You had 4 tracks.
Yeah,
You had to figure it out. You know what I mean? I was so addicted. I've been so addicted to that adventure of figuring out how to manipulate sound through singing through a fucking toilet paper tube, whatever.
I did that on the record. I did that on the.
You did?
I did that on the last record. Yeah. We got a cup over a. I think it was just an SM. What have I got it around it? No, somewhere. Just a cup over the microphone. So I've got a little 55. I didn't use this one.
There you go.
Yeah, there was a cup over it like that, and we just did like a thing at the end of one of the songs on the record called Gateway 7, and turned out great. There was no plug-in involved. It was just that was the sound, you know, and so yeah, it is, man. The pursuit of getting somewhere that you don't know where you're going to fall is such a great art form if you're willing to do it. You know, if you're willing to put in a bit of that time and chase something that, you know, you may start at A and end up at J and have no idea how you got there, but the journey to J was really, really great, you know, and that's what I love. That's what I love being in the studio for, because and working with people that are willing to do that. It's just so much more fun and inventive too. So I don't know. So I feel like we share a common thread there, man.
Yeah, the adventure.
The
sonic adventure. Yeah, man.
Exactly right. Oh man, don't I know about adventures? Moving countries, it's crazy.
Dude, yeah, okay, well, let's talk a little bit about the record, and then we'll get into your whole story, because you're okay. So this record's great. You're a great fucking songwriter, and all of that stuff comes through in the all of your sense of adventure as a recording artist comes through in this recording. Did you record this record in Nashville?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wrote. There's parts where I wrote in Australia before I left, and parts where I wrote here. But it's all a theme of me making the great leap across the pond with my family, my 2 boys and my wife, into the unknown. You know?
How old are your boys?
They are 9 and 3. So, but they were 8 and 2 when we moved.
All right.
So, yeah.
The 2 probably didn't notice much, but how's the 8-year-old, 9-year-old doing now?
He's going well, man. Like, it was a massive adjustment to leave family, friends, cousins, neighborhood, the whole thing, skateboards, bikes, surfboards, everything behind. And even our family dog, you know, we weren't going to put him on a plane. It would have killed him. So there was a lot of sacrifice there for my family. And I'm so grateful to have such a supporting unit, you know, but it only made us stronger and closer. Like I had this opportunity to come over here, and it was one of those things where it was like, well, I got to do it. Otherwise I'm going to always be thinking, you know, I wonder what would happen. It was one of those things. I just had this sort of very blessed to be able to be a musician in this time, especially travel across the pond in the time of COVID. And that was very uncertain and very unknown and very, just really, really insane, to be honest. It was just like, because our borders were closed in Australia. So we had to sign a stat declaration to the Aussie government to leave at the time. And, you know, we boarded the plane with about 20 or so people on the plane, and the kids were everyone was in masks, and it was just this sort of like, the airport was closed. So it was really quite a surreal experience, you know. And then when we landed in Nashville, it was like, okay, we're here now. This wasn't just a dream or something that I've been talking about for the last 18 months prior to COVID happening.
Yeah.
Because it was all planned before COVID hit. And then we sort of, you know, we waited around for 18 months thinking, well, we can't wait around in limbo all the time. We have no idea how long this is going to go for. So we saw a window of opportunity to leave the country, and we just did it. And it, you know, to be honest, it's like, it's one of those things. It's like, feel the fear and do it anyway. You know, like you have to back yourself sometimes in life and just do what you say you're going to do, instead of just kind of sit around and think about, well, maybe I should do that.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Because life goes past pretty quickly. So I think looking back, I was like, I'm really proud of us as a family, my wife and everything leaving. We all left collective things behind and personal things behind at the same time. And when we left Australia, it was like, when are we going to get back? We have no idea if we're going to get back anytime soon, So it was just this sort of feeling of like, holy shit, like this is big, and I got to have to pull my finger out here. I got to like really do something. So that's where the record came from, like it was just like, it literally, when we got here, I had some of these songs, like a song called Never Going Back to the Dark Side, and Never Thought of You was written a few years ago, about my mum and dad. But then, as I was piecing the record together, it became this concept of going in the leap into the unknown. And every song that I'd written prior to even thinking about writing an album and then getting to Nashville all married this one link through the record. And it's literally just me. It's about me and, kind of my, I guess sometimes my darkest moments in life to the greatest moments of my life. And it's all sort of this sort of one string thread through the record. And it starts with me leaving Adelaide, my hometown in Australia, when I was 15, going to Sydney. And so getting back to your question, I went on a ramble then, but Wilsey, my 8-year-old, 9-year-old now, just actually 10 this year, he's a rock star. He's just like, he's so incredible. The change that happened at that point of his life, like, I think it has already taught him so many great things about life. And we look after him. We make sure we check in with him and stuff, and he's got cousins and everything. And this day and age, you can literally, like what we're doing right now, you can just, ring back home and get your fix on cousins and friends and family and stuff. So it's been a pretty cool time, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
So man.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Let me make sure this AC doesn't come on.
Okay.
So that song Unknown, now really like the last tune on the record, is kind of like this meditation on this whole thing.
Yep. I wasn't sure whether I was going to include that, to be honest, mate, because I've got a lot of songs laying around that I write purely for me or whatever, and they never see the light of day. Because when you're sitting down writing a record or whatever, it's only going to be like 12 songs, and then people lose their attention. I mean, people have got 2-second attention spans or something these days anyway, and so writing an album is even, to some people, an insane concept. It's like, what are you writing an album for? But I'm a big believer in records, albums, bodies of work, whatever. And so that song's a bit of a statement, not just for. It's a letter that I wrote. I woke up at 2 a.m. and I had this thing in my head, and I was like, I've got to get this. I got up and I went to my little home studio here. I've got a little setup here. It's nothing too flash. It's just like, a small little setup. And I got the music down, and it was literally just me talking to my family, to my wife, and to my mum and dad, basically, and to my wife's parents as well, and basically saying to them that, to my wife's parents, I'm sorry that we left, but I have to leave because my calling is this. And to my dad's like, you've got to like go get your dreams, just burn the boats, just, get out of here, go, son, So there was this quite completely different juxtaposition of like, Charlie's family and trying to look after that way of just sort of going, well, I'm sorry that we left, your grandbabies are going to be growing up without you coming around sort of every few months or weeks or whatever. We used to see them a lot. But, I promise we will be back a few times, here and there. And it's just it's a real personal letter towards, and my mum, and saying that, I'd left home when I was 14 from Adelaide to move to Sydney, and I haven't lived with my mum since I was 14. So it all came to a head one morning when I woke up at 2 a.m. and we just moved here, and I was writing this record, and my head was in the record, but I hadn't said what I wanted to say. And so that song really encapsulated what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
It wasn't written for anything else other than myself and what I wanted to say for the album. So it's kind of like a time capsule in 30 years. When I look back, I'll listen to it and go, that's exactly how I felt at that moment. And it literally just wrote itself. I sang into the microphone what I wanted to say, and it took me like 10 minutes to get it out. And that was it. And, it was really raw. It's just one take, and it's just like, that's what it was. So, but then, as a writer and as an artist, you go through this whole thing of like, really, should I really put it on? Like, is anyone else going to get it? Like, is it just me being inside my head? Am I insane?
Right.
All of that stuff. So, but it's on there, and I'm happy that I put it on there, because it would have felt like there was a massive hole.
Yeah.
For myself, I have to be real, So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a gorgeous song. So, so Nashville, the opportunities that open themselves up to you, was it like a label or management, or like, hey, why don't you try and like, we'll help you out here in America?
So I met a guy. The story is just so crazy. Like I to wind it back a bit, just to get some context, I sort of I moved to a place called the Sunshine Coast, which was what I talk about in Unknown, the song. Uh-huh. And we moved there from Sydney to get away from the big city. And it's a beautiful beachside town, very small population. It's a country town on a beach. And it's like what I describe it, it's like a Disney film. It's like Utopia. The water is crystal blue, turquoise. You've got it's just unbelievable. And we were there for 5 years, and we bought a house there, kind of thing. Settled with our boy, and he was 3. We moved there, and so he was 3 at the time we moved, and we stayed for 5 years, and then I had our other boy, Jackson, our youngest, Jackson Cash. Named him Jackson Cash 3 years ago before we even thought we were moving to Tennessee, and it's the most Tennessee name of all time. And
oh my God, yeah.
It's crazy. Like, I don't understand that, but that's sort of like my life. It just kind of always has these weird sort of like synergy moments sort of. So anyway, I'd kind of literally sort of been doing one tour a year around Australia, but basically sort of going, what else am I going to do with my life? Because, I've come to a point where I felt like I was sort of doing a lot of things, but weren't really doing anything. I was sort of like doing quite a lot of stuff, like writing with other people or producing things, or, writing kind of film score things, and doing a tour with like iconic Australian artists and things. And, sort of had my foot and my fingers in different pies, but not really like doing what I sort of really wanted to do, I guess, So I started writing music just sort of for fun, really, and started writing some songs and whatever. And I had 20 songs to go, but I didn't really know what I was doing with it. I met this guy at the Coolum Beach Croquet Club, which is this tiny little croquet club on the beach. And he introduced himself, whatever, and he seemed all right. He was a sort of a lovely kind of jovial sort of guy. It was hard to work him out or whatever. But he had a friend in LA, and that friend became my manager for some time. And he sort of said, if you're going to make it, you got to get to America. Well, he said, and then it turned out to be Nashville. Then COVID hit, and then we waited around for sort of 18 months, and then all of a sudden we got like visas and permission to leave the border, and the whole thing all in that 18 months all worked out. They got a business and everything and created a whole thing around the music, and then we ended up sort of arriving in Nashville in February. And but then it was like I had to sort of, I got to Nashville and it was like, well, what do I do now?
Right.
And I ended up, and then I ended up having to sort of like create a whole other system for me because the system that I arrived to was a bit broken, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So I was sort of like, I kind of like thought, oh my goodness, that manager left the building, polite way of saying it, and I had to sort of rebuild the whole thing again. And it was massive, 6 months of literally just being in another country, COVID, and having not much of a plan. I had to rebuild the whole thing all over again, which, but you know what? I hold no grudges. I'm a person that I think everything's really a bit of a blessing when you look at it in the right way. Go through your anger moments or whatever, but at the end of the day, I'm here in Nashville, and it's a real blessing to be in Nashville because I get to do what I want to do. With music, and it's incredible what I'm doing right now. So, it's all good, man.
Do you plan on like writing with people there in Nashville?
Yeah, I've been writing with a few people in Nashville, which has been great. A guy called Fred Wilhelm is a standout. He's an incredible songwriter. Stephen McMorrin, he's great. I wrote a song called Gaslighter with Stephen.
That's a great song, by the way.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man.
And I wrote Leave Adelaide Alone with Fred. And a few others, 11-1 with Fred too. Fred's just, he was great because my head was spinning and I knew I had to write the record, and I had about 8 songs or something, but I was like, my head was so like in a loop, and it was weird because I think it's so funny how people think that like, well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what anyone else thinks, but for me, I have to sort of have a period of time to go through the darkness before I write the song about it. I can't like
right.
sit
in the middle of
the chaos and write. I mean, so that was a great thing to be able to work with Fred because I was in the middle of the chaos, and he was a great person to sort of bounce off of and what about this idea? And hey, man, I've got this idea, and tell me about your life, that sort of thing. It was a little bit like therapy or something,
Yeah.
Just crazy.
That's how it should be.
But it was cool. Yeah, that's it. That's the real stuff, So Fred was really, really cool, and so I love him, and written with a bunch of people, and just kind of just getting into the scene, I guess,
Yeah.
It's so yeah. Cool.
All right.
I'll have to come to Austin and play though.
Yeah, man, for sure. So you've had you've had a lot of lives, and you're in a zone right now where you're kind of like having a fresh start with like a fresh name, but you're not running from the law. You're just very, very famous in this other way, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, Wesley Dean is still my name. It's my middle name.
Right.
It's what Mum used to scream at me if I was in trouble. Wesley Dean. So it kind of comes from there. I've always liked the name Wesley Dean more so than Wes Carr, but my name Wes Carr in Australia is quite well known. But it does feel like a very different life ago for me. I've had all these other incarnations in life, and I don't know. I just guess I feel like over the years it's been such, I've had such major growth in my what I'm doing with music and stuff. Like I just
totally
sometimes when I look back at Wes Carr 10, 12 years ago on the radio and playing songs on TV and things, I'm like, is that really me? Like, and I guess we all go through that. Like you look at a photo from 12 years ago and you're like, wow, like that's right. I had that jacket, or, oh wow, look at there's old Peter. I wonder what's happened to Peter.
Yeah.
Haven't seen him. That kind of thing. It's like, you change without knowing it, and then all of a sudden you're a different person all of a sudden. But I guess the name change for me, it was just it was almost like growing up, and becoming more authentic in a way, which is weird because Wesley Dean Carr is all my name, but having that kind of energy change around my name made me sort of believe in another part of me, and helped me kind of creatively, to be honest, which is a strange.
Right.
I guess maybe that's but yeah,
because it wiped the slate clean. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but is that why it helped you creatively? Because it was like you're starting off new.
Yeah. I starting off new. All of the above, really. Like I think, and Wes Carr, I have no grudges with that name and whatever. And it was just a different, like as I said, different lifetime ago and another incarnation.
Well, it's like if you had if it wasn't Wes Carr and you were like a band name, you would have changed it by now on this new journey. So that's just
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly right. Exactly. For sure.
So, you won Australian Idol.
Yeah.
But you were playing a lot before then. Like you started out playing pretty young.
I started playing gigs around Sydney when I was 14. Getting my own gigs in clubs and bars and wherever I could get, wherever they could have me. I turned up with my demo CDs and tapes that recorded on a Fostex 4-track.
Nice.
And I used to just do my own demos and things on. I record my own demos on cassettes mainly. And I've been doing that for really since I was 8. Since I was 8 years old, or just doing like little Michael Jackson loops and beatboxing, and then singing over the top of it, or playing. Or I learned the piano by watching our family's pianola, where you just you pedal the
it plays the music
and it'll play itself, and then I'd sort of put the chord shapes together and all that. And guitar as well. I taught myself how to play it with Nirvana chord chart books and stuff.
That's
and
funny.
Just started writing songs.
Not to interrupt you, but do you know the writer Hunter S. Thompson?
Yeah, man.
You know how he started out? He would just copy word for word, just write out Moby Dick, the book. Like
no way.
He taught himself how to write like that. Yeah,
that's great.
That weird.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what happens, though. Like you look at anyone who's anyone. They've obviously started out
as a copy of somebody. Yeah.
Yeah. Beatles. They'd play Little Richard or whatever in the clubs and whatever before they even wrote their own songs.
Yeah.
So I guess that's that. Yeah. You just everyone has that moment. I guess is like a friend of mine once said to me, "The best ones steal, the good ones borrow." I guess you do that until you start to sort of find your own rhythm with things, I guess. But
when you started out playing the club, and you were like 14 and stuff. What was your you had a band and you guys were
no, just acoustically. I used to go around and I used to play with bare feet and on a stool. That was my thing. Bare feet and just play these folky kind of folky sort of rhythmic kind of numbers and I'd once played this place in Oxford Street called La Bar and in Sydney, and that was a great place. It was awesome. They really they just really encouraged me and gave me these little spots, to play. Yeah. In the at open mic nights and stuff. And my dad used to have to be with me because my dad used to drive me around. So he'd finish work and then drive me around to all these clubs that I'd get all these gigs everywhere and be like, "Oh, you're killing me!" It's like I've just finished work and now I've got to go and drive you around. But he was really supportive of me because he was a painter and he never got a chance to really exhibit his works, his art, and he got a great opportunity in London at one stage, and his parents didn't let him go. So he sort of saw me as a bit of a he kind of saw me like, well, if I'm not going to let that happen. So I was always begging him to sort of play these gigs all around Sydney and whatever. And then I ended up in bands really young, and I played with a very famous DJ in Australia. I played guitar for him, and I played guitar for, I met Andrew Farris from INXS when I was 16 and wrote with him. And I had all these really far out experiences really young, writing with some really, Andrew Farris, he's INXS. He's in excess, so it was that was pretty cool. Being 16 and going over to his house and just looking around and like, wow,
Platinum
music
records.
really does. Yeah, it's amazing, man. And we wrote a song for, I don't know whether it was a joke or not, but we attempted to write a song for Bruce Springsteen.
Oh,
at that time.
yeah, he's always looking for people's songs.
Yeah, so it was cool. And then,
Can I ask you a quick question? Is Andrew Farris has a son that's in a band?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't know now.
Okay.
I have no idea. I haven't seen him in so long. I think he's in Nashville at the moment.
Oh, really?
So, it'd be cool to catch up with him after all these years. But, man, I grew up in playing gigs. I grew up playing in pubs and clubs and working out how to get people off their bar stools and and working out how to make people forget about their own lives and take them on some sort of, take them on a trip, take them on an adventure and get them lost in a story or two, Well, and that's how I sort of...
Sorry. Yeah. It's interesting because it seems like, and you're this bridge between the generations, because you're part of the last generation that went and that was the way you did shit. And then all of a sudden, Idol came out everywhere, all over the world, and that actually became a model. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. I was I remember A&R guys coming up and giving me their cards. Yeah. And that was, I guess I was at the end of all of that.
At the end of that,
Yeah, and I was only a little kid. I was only 15, I guess, when that was happening, 15, 16, and, to have all these A&R guys sort of saying, oh, you've got to do this and you should do that and blah, blah, blah. And that was cool. But my head spun for years and years after all of that. And I guess, I ended up in bands. And as I grew up, I sort of, played in, rock bands and got to sort of work out how to play in bands and how to play with a group of people, because it was all solo for years until I started playing with bands, and then orchestrating all of that and making sure that, all the drum parts were right. And I sort of learnt by, it was baptism by fire every time. And that's how I learned how to play music, was just literally being thrown in these amazing, really amazing environments as a young kid, and really nervous all the time, because I was so intimidated with some of the people that I was working with, because they were masters of their craft. They were 30 years old and they were famous, and they were playing these, stadiums, and there I was 17. I just bought this electric guitar because I'd never played electric guitar before, because I was always an acoustic player, So I bought this Ibanez axe thing. I can't even remember the model, but it was this black Ibanez axe at a what do you call it?
Pawn shop or something?
A pawn shop. Pawn shop. And I just found it in the window, and I was like, I don't know, $200, and it was a lot of money back then for me. So I was like, wow, I'm going to get this guitar, and I'm going to treat, So, and I had no idea how to play the thing. And took it back the next week after the gigs that I played, because I was like, this thing's an absolute beast. I don't know, it's like a shredding thing. It was like one of those shredding Ibanez guitars that I haven't owned since. But it wasn't me. But at the time, it suited my pursuit, and I learned a lot about it just by doing it, And and that's right. Like, and then Idol came along, and it was like people weren't going out to see you play at the pubs anymore on a Sunday. They'd stay home and watch Idol, sort of thing. And I got to, come to think of it, never thought of it, but I got to see it change through the mentality of, this is years before the iPhone.
Yeah.
So I remember a time, you remember a time where we're at the clubs and and they're watching.
Engaged.
Now they're doing either that or that.
Yeah.
And that's cool. I mean, got to move with the times, whatever. But it is, it's an interesting look growing up from playing in pubs. I mean, 97 or something it was when I started. So when I was playing in gigs, 97 to sort of now. Wow, what an amazing, crazy change it's been for live music.
Dude, what a change. Like that whole thing, like the experience of going to see stuff now, at least here in America, from what I've noticed in the last like 20 years, has really, like with the invention of the iPhone and being able to have your own channel, then everyone's kind of the star of their own world now. So instead of like when we would have been excited to go see an Excess or something like that, you get your tickets, you go, you just stand there, you just wait for the dude to come out and fucking wreak magic all over the fucking place, right? But now it's about this person is at your show, like, hey, I'm here and this is my show at this person. It's so fucking weird.
Yeah, I have to agree that, I struggle with this a lot because, to try and see, I always think, well, what's the positive outcome of all this, And there are some, but I do understand where you're coming from in that way where it's different, it's like, I just don't know. But, I was thinking this morning and this is the thing that I have to remember as a musician. And this is the thing that I kind of stumbled on a few years ago. And, we're all musicians are it's a craft, but beyond that, it's a service.
Yeah.
And so I knew a million, like it feels like thousands of years ago, when I was younger, when I was doing those gigs, I learned that it wasn't about me and my songs. It was about, the song becoming something for somebody else, Exactly. It's a conversation,
Yeah.
And so it's like when I'm playing a gig or whatever, and they're looking at their phones or there's an influencer over there that whatever it is, it's cool, whatever. Like I don't know what anyone else thinks or does or want to do, but for me, it's like I'm telling my story, and if that story hits a certain few people's eardrums in a way that it actually gets into their soul, and they can figure something they can figure out for themselves. If they can take something from my song and it become like some sort of something for them or a part of them or to help them in any way, then I win at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah.
So, and that for me, that's what it's about. That's what this, even telling my story through this record, halfway through this album, I was like, well, is it just about me? Is it something that I dread? And I dread that whole thing. Cause I'm constantly running from myself, but, the music, when you write about yourself, it in turn is about the person listening to it too, because they're going to take from it what they want. So it's all, it's all of that kind of, here we are having a really deep conversation, but that, I guess that's what music is for me. So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say at the end of the day, it is a weird, wacky world, but, I do feel like music is going to survive, and it's in a good place because of that fact. I think we always need music it's 12 notes, man. And it's crazy how much change and influence it has on the world in a good way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sometimes I curse the 12 notes. I'm like, why, what, why is it, why is there 12 notes?
They can be your worst fucking enemy.
Yeah.
They're your worst enemy, the 12 notes. Sometimes. A lot of the time. That's cool. That's funny.
They can be. So let me ask you this. So is there a cattle call? Did you go to a cattle call for Idol?
With Idol.
Why did you? What made you want to do that?
I was playing in a pub in Bronte in Sydney, and so I started working behind the bar for a while there. It's the only real job I sort of ever got because I was always playing gigs and doing other things, and so I was working behind the bar, and the bar manager was a big fan of my old band that had just broken up, and he was like, "Man, you know what? I love managing you as a bartender, but you're a better musician. So we'd like to get you up on a Saturday night, and I'll pay you to just play on a Saturday. And you're a shit bartender, to be honest, anyway. So, and I was terrible. I was hopeless. So anyway, so it all started again. I was like, okay, I thought I was out, and they dragged me back in again, kind of thing. And I started playing on a Saturday night. And then that became a Friday, Saturday night. And then that became Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. Yeah. And I was playing 4 or 5 hours at a time, just completely nonstop. And I started falling in love with music again. But I was playing, to be honest, I was mainly playing covers at that time. It was the first time I ever started playing covers because I was over my material and creatively exhausted and overwhelmed by all of that. So I was just playing other people's music, but my own way, of course. So, I bought a little PA and just set my kind of PA up there every Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And it was the best job in the world because it was like 3 gigs a week, enough money to get me through. And it was awesome. And I was having a ball doing it. And then, I met my wife at the time as well. And she was my girlfriend at the time, obviously, and life was good. I was living in Bondi and Sydney, and I thought it was one of those things. It was like I've never really watched Australian Idol. I've always been playing gigs myself when it was on. Never really had much to say about it, but and definitely admit that I was, in the Too Cool for School club, but most of the times, whatever. Well, I'll never do that, But then I thought, well, never say never, right? And then, and also, you never know if you never go. There you go. There's an Australian phrase for it. And so I just sort of one day it was like, let's just go and do it. It was literally a bit of a chuckle between my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. Let's just go and do it. And she's an actress. She was on a Channel 10 show at the time, the same network as Australian Idol. And so did it. I went and auditioned, not thinking anything of it. Then I got called up again, auditioned again in front of the big TV cameras and whatever. I've aced that. But you never know until it gets aired on TV, you see. So I went on this, did the audition, left. Everybody thought it was cool. I played all along the Watchtower.
Oh, nice.
I thought, it's possibly the most un-Idol song ever. You got 3 chords. And then when it aired, they did this whole 5-minute special on me and my audition. And I thought, oh man, okay, wow. They're either setting me up for the greatest fall or, I'm in, Right. And then, as I went on the show, it was really fun, man. Like, it was a really great experience. I mean, everyone has their moments with things that they do in their lives and regrets and whatever. And I've got many. But that one was like, it was a really cool experience because it's a half a song on a Sunday in front of a national audience. Yeah. And I got to arrange it myself. I did all the songs. I worked with the MD, who's a good friend of mine now. And we, it was just a great time. And my wife was on the same network and we were like the Channel 10 couple at the time. And we got invited out to all the great red carpet events and the whole thing. It was great fun. But as it went on, I didn't realize I was going to win the thing, and I won it. And then after the fact, it was like, I'm a musician. I wanted to be. I'm a musician. I wanted to write my own music. I wanted to have this sort of fan base that loved my own music and create this community around my own art, you know, and that was a real struggle to do. So, you know, it all left amicably, but I had to go away and find my own way, you know, and it took me 10 years. Yeah. It took me 10 years to even, this is my first record since that. I mean, I've released another record under another name called Buffalo Tales, which was something that I just did for myself. But this is a really kind of the biggest release I've done since that release in 2009. So it's taken me all that time to just sort of get my head around as to who I am and what I do, you know?
Yeah.
And I think when you start so young too, you have these old images that you have to release in order to find your own authentic self now as a nearly 40-year-old, not a 15-year-old, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And that it takes a lot of time to work out that as well. So, you know,
it does. That's an interesting thing that you say that, because that's something that I put out an EP a few years ago, and when I went to go make it, I got a producer to work with me, and I was just like, I got to kind of figure out who I am now. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's one thing about, I think one great thing about all this, you know, all this accessibility with studios, and, you know, everyone's got their own little studio, own little setup, whatever that is, even the iPhone with the voice memo, because you can write a song, have it there. It's a time capsule for yourself. And if it makes sense to you 6 months later when you actually go in and either release it or go in and record it for good or whatever it is, it you know, it's always there. Whereas I think a lot of the time, you know, without it, you know, you write the song becomes an ideal, and it can start to play weigh heavy on your mind about what you're meant to be, because this is what you set out to be 10 years ago, and you're not that yet. And so all this pressure and all this sort of expectation that you can put on yourself can kill off creativity in one clean sweep. So you got to have that expectation really at bay in order to work out what you want to say when you write a record or when you write a song. Yeah,
there's a real strong craftsmanship to your songwriting. There's like songs that are on a level of like I mean, guys that I think are great, like a Richard Marx kind of song. You know what I mean?
Cool, man.
Where like not only are you cool and able to express these raw emotions in a way, but you also have this ability to lay out a song in like a fucking real songwriter way. You know what I mean?
Thanks, brother.
It's very impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, mate. Yeah. Richard Marx is right here waiting for you, isn't it? That oh man, what a song.
Yeah.
Great song. I mean, I know he's got many more. I worked with a guy once in LA when I first went to LA who his mentor was Richard Marx's dad. Was it Dean Marx? Dean Marx, was it? He was an orchestrator. Anyway, I'll have to look that one up.
He was like a guy that wrote songs, like commercials and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I worked with his protege in LA, I guess, or one of his proteges. Not too familiar with the story, but I remember him talking about him a bit, and that was a bit of a big deal back. I was only 24 or something at the time, and I was like, "Wow, cool! Like, wow, that's pretty cool." He also worked with Joe Cocker, and you know, I got to meet Joe through him a few times, and I got Jeff the Skunk Baxter.
Oh yeah,
dude,
check this out.
Hey, there he is.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool, man.
I was in this band in the
early
2000s, like as an auxiliary player, and he was a huge fan of the band and a friend of their managers, and the band guys didn't like him. But when he showed up, and they were like, some old guy is playing with us from the Doobie Brothers. That's all they kept saying. And I was like, who from the Doobie Brothers like wants to play with you guys? He showed up. I freaked out and we became fast friends. But yeah, that guy's cool.
Yeah, he came in. I was in a studio in LA. It was one of the best times of my life. Another best time of my life story. But I had a song called "Say My Name." I wrote with the guy who owned the Treehouse Studios in North Hollywood, and he was the MD for Joe Cocker at the time too. And I just couldn't believe this. The way I got there was I was playing a gig in Adelaide when I moved back to Adelaide for a little bit. Another hiatus of mine, where I was like, I'm giving up music. That's me done. I'm going to go find a pub gig. I went and played a pub gig. And then like 3 hours into the first pub gig that I did in Adelaide, the Joe Cocker band walks in. I was like, what? And I'm playing the letter. I'm going, I'm doing months, and they're like, hey, man, and then they're like, you should come to LA. And then 3 months later, I'm in LA and I'm there. And that was one of the greatest experiences. I stayed with my uncle who I hadn't seen in 15 years. And it was party town plus making music every day in a studio in North Hollywood. It was awesome. And anyway, Jeff Baxter walks in and plays this incredible Steely Dan-like solo out over a song of mine song of ours called "Say My Name," which I'd never released. I think it's in the background of a movie called "For Your Consideration" by Christopher Guest.
I love that fucking movie.
So in the party scene, it's Ricky Gervais is in it, which I love. Ricky Gervais is in the scene, and in the background, the party song is me singing "Say My Name." It's like this pop song, and it's like so cool. Yeah, it's just surreal to even think about that.
What's the movie? Home for Purim is the movie they're making in that movie, right?
Yeah.
They found like the most obscure Jewish holiday to make a movie about.
No, I think "For Your Consideration" was about dogs. Was it?
No, the one about dogs.
No.
Best in shows.
No, you're right.
Yeah. Home for Purim.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. I haven't seen it in so long, man.
Yeah.
I have not seen that movie in a long time.
I'm a huge fan of his.
Yeah, so do I. I love him. It's amazing. But that was a great time too. I could have stayed in America then, but it just didn't work out. So and that's another reason why this opportunity came up. I was like, I'm going to grab this thing and I'm not going to let go,
and you've got your people, like you've got your family. Like, it's like,
it's the greatest time. It really is the greatest time for me. It's like, I heard something the other day about like, your life is like seasons, and 21 to 41 is like, that's when you make all the mistakes, all the lessons, whatever. And 41 to 61, that's when you implement all your mistakes and I guess recorrect some of them. And I guess that's what I'm sort of about to start doing. It's like I've had all these great, rich experiences and hung out with some amazing musicians all around the world. Yeah. And I didn't even know how lucky I was when I was doing that. And because it all happened so quickly, and I was in the right place at the right time, but it wasn't my time yet, Yeah. And so now it feels like it's my time, and I can get to kind of full circle it all, And it's fucking exciting, man. I'm really, really stoked to be here, and
I'm really happy for you, man. I can't wait till you go on tour. Bro. I want to meet you, man. When you come down, we gotta awesome. Sit down and talk.
Yeah, let's do it. I can't wait to get to Austin. I've heard it's a great town, and can't wait. So.
Let me ask you: when you go on tour, are you doing it alone or with the band, or what? What's going on there?
Who knows? At the moment, it's like I just did a little. I opened up for Jim Messina last year.
Oh, awesome!
Just through the Northeast in these great venues, and down south like Florida and Kentucky and up sort of, who knows, it was like get in the car and hold on to your hats and let's just go. I played about 20 shows or whatever.
Awesome.
And it was great. It was just all acoustic and it was fun. It was really great. I mean, the thing about America is it's awesome to just get to experience audiences that really value music, like really value what you do, and like it's just awesome to go to every venue and be so openly welcomed, and like you know, I start talking and like they had no idea who I was. There was no introduction like or anything. I just walk on stage cold, and they're like, who's this guy from Nashville, and then I open up my mouth. I'm like, "G'day, guys," and everyone's like, "What is this? Where does this guy come from?" So yeah, it was cool. It was really cool. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Hey, do you don't by chance know a guy named Billy Harvey there? Do you? Have you met a guy named Billy Harvey?
No.
Okay.
No.
He's a great dude. He lives out there.
Should I meet Billy Harvey?
Yeah. Everyone's got to know Billy Harvey.
Okay.
He's one of the funniest, one of the most talented musicians I know. Great songwriter. Weird dude.
That's awesome.
Hilarious. Yeah.
Awesome. Love to meet him.
Yeah. Well, man, this has been a real pleasure talking to you. You're an amazing songwriter. I really dug your record. Unknown drops on April 29th on AHP Records. You can go to wesleydean.com for all of your Wesley Dean needs. I'll keep on checking the tour dates and look for dates, and hopefully you'll be coming down here soon.
Yeah, man. Love to. Would love to. Thanks, brother. Yeah, man. Thanks so much. Keep in touch, Johnny. Cheers, man.
I definitely will, and I'll let your people know when this drops. It'll be in the next couple of weeks. But, dude,
awesome, mate.
Great talking to you, man, and meeting you.
Thank you.
All right, man.
Pleasure. And, yeah, thanks for having me on, mate.
Yeah,
thanks.
definitely, man. I'll stay in touch. Cheers.
So
see you, mate. Bye.
Is, what does that make you? Right now,
That was Wesley Dean. His album Unknown drops this Friday, April 29th. Get out there and check it out. Go to wesleydean.com for all of your Wesley Dean needs. See if he's coming to a town near you to play. What a great conversation. What a great dude. And what an inspiring story. You know? Can you imagine having all of that success and then just leaving it behind, just going to a different country? Can you imagine moving to Australia from here? That's basically what he did. He moved from Australia to America. That's really, really far. And he's starting all over. Get out there and check him out. His album Unknown, fantastic. Check out the singles Leave Adelaide Alone and Gaslighter, which are available now. Go to wesleydean.com for all of your Wesley Dean needs. And don't forget, when you're out there checking out wesleydean.com, you can subscribe to this podcast wherever it is that you find podcasts, be it Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Overcast, Stitcher, all the places. New shows every Tuesday and every Friday, or, 3 shows a week. A lot. I never go below 2. So stick with me, enjoy it, meet some great artists, have a great show for you on Friday. The legendary John Doe from punk band X will be on my show. That's fucking right, dude. I'm excited. All right. Have a great weekend, or great rest of the week, whatever it is you're doing. Let's get down.
sky is to stand by.